We'll first look at the Windows, right? So for the Windows, we will mainly look at the ACL. So how to change the ACL? So you can do it using your graphical user interface, or you can change it using your program. Okay, we will look at some examples. Okay, so the ACL actually is supported in some later version of Windows, but in the early version of Windows, actually they do not support ACL. So in particular, if you are using the NTFS, then ACL is supported automatically. So you only need, if you can find out that your system is using NTFS, then the ACL actually is already enabled in the file system. And in Windows, actually, we have two different ACLs. One is the discretionary access control list. This is basically what we studied, in the previous lecture. And then there is another one, which is system access control list. So this one actually is for auditing purpose. So basically, you can set, for example, if you have a particular file or object, you can go to the security tab. So you can go to properties, security tab, and then you can you can do the auditing for this particular object, like file or folder. That means that you can put a log in the system event if something happens. For example, if A reads this file, you put a log there. If B writes this file, you put a log there. So you can set those rules for the auditing by setting this system ACL. But we will not look at this one here. We will look at the discretionary access control. Right? So, as I said, if you use the NTFS, then basically you are allowing this discretionary access control to be used. And the NTFS actually provides more security than just the access permissions. So actually you can do the encryption as well. So you can ask the OS to do the encryption for your file. And you don't need to memorize the key. So the OS will do the encryption for you, and then when you access the encrypted file, it will automatically do the decryption. So if you are allowed to access, if you have the permission to access, then the file will be automatically decrypted. Right? So that's something also related to security. So you can specify the permission. You can also do the encryption as well, and the encryption is transparent to the user. You don't need to really provide any user password or any encryption key. Right? So the encryption you will study in 361. Right? So that's the crypto concept. Right? So basically, the user, if the file is encrypted by the OS, then if you want to access the file, essentially the OS will first check whether you have the permission. If you have the permission, decryption is automatically done for you. And if you don't have the permission, then of course you will receive an error message. Right? So if you move the file to another place, actually the file will be automatically decrypted and then copied to another place. Okay, so this is about encryption. So how to set the encryption? You can do you can set this encryption by go to the properties. For example, you go to the properties of file. You can click this advanced, and then here you can find the option to do the encryption. In this case, actually the file is encrypted when stored in the hard disk. So, and if you want to access this file, if you are authorized, you are allowed, then the decryption is done automatically by the OS. So you don't need to give any key. And where do you set the permission? You go to this tab, security. Here you will set the permissions. Who can do what? Who can write, who can read. Right? So this is Windows 7. You can also do the encryption or compression when you put the data. And then, what are the permissions for a file or folder? So here are the permissions for a folder. So you can read. You can read, that means you can browse the folder, you can read the content of the folder, and so on. And then you can write, that means you may create a new file, and so on. So this is the permission for a folder. Right? So of course for a file, you can also have a read permission, write permission, like the execute permission, and so on. If you have full control, that means you can do anything to a folder or file. Okay, so if you go to the properties, if you click a folder or file, go to properties, you go to security, then here you can see the assignment of the permission. So you have the users here, and then you can also have the permission set for each user. So here, the user may not be an individual user. Here, actually, it can be like each. Here is maybe like a set of users. For example, for all the authenticated users, you have this permission. Authenticated user means you log in the system with a valid username password. So in this case, as far as you can log in the system, you have the permissions here. So in this case, actually, we have a group, the group of authenticated users. Okay, so you can also specify the permission for individual users as well. So, and if you want to see all the permissions, actually you can go to the advanced. So if you click the advanced, then you can go to the here you can see. So here, if you want to set the auditing for this file, you can click this auditing. Then it will create a so-called system ACL. But if you want to see only the permission, then you can go to the permission here. It will show all the permissions, right? So you can see all the permissions if you go to this permission tab, right? So what if you want to check the ACL using a program? So actually you can also do it easily. Basically you can just, so you get the volume information. For example, the C drive, you can get the volume information. And then you can check whether this ACL, this flag is on or not. Right, so if you have this, basically you can extract these flags. So the flags contains different information, like whether it supports ACL, whether it supports compression, and so on. So you can find different flags, and you can use this mask to check. You do an AND operation. If the AND returns 1, that means you support ACL. If the AND returns 0, that means you do not support ACL. So this actually can be done very easily using the program. So all these programs are provided in the Moodle site. So if you see any reference for the program, you can find in the sample code given in the Moodle site. Okay, so basically this is basically the flag where we get volume information. It will return the information corresponding to a volume or like a drive. So here you can find all the file system options. For example, whether you support compression, ACL, and so on. Right, so another way, of course, you just check whether it's NTFS. If it's NTFS, then it supports ACL. Right, so this is just to check whether you have an NTFS file system. Okay. Right, so now let's look at how to create ACLs using some code. For example, if you write a program, when you install the program, you need to create some folders, create some files. You need to maybe assign permissions and so on. So how to do that using a program instead of using the Windows interface. So actually you can use a so-called SDDL, so Security Descriptor Definition Language. So details you can find in the following links. Right, so we will look at some example. So how to create ACL, then attach the ACL to an object. An object here can be a file or a folder. Alright. So this is the example. So you create this folder. Now you want to assign this permission list to this folder. So for the guest, you have deny access. For anonymous login, you have deny access. Administrator, you have full control. Authenticated user, you have read, write, execute. So as I said before, in Windows, actually you can specify both the allow access and then the deny access. So if there is a conflict, then we will have the default deny. Right. So this is basically the program we can use to create the folder and then assign the ACL. Right. So this is so basically you just create a folder and then you assign this security attributes to this directory. Right. So the function, the ACL is assigned here. When you create an ACL, then assign it to this security attribute. So how to assign the ACL? Basically here you can see. So here you can create first the ACL, which is a discretionary ACL. So you put the D here, it means discretionary. If you put S here, it means system ACL. And then you can assign, say, deny access to the building guest, right? So this is deny for building guest. And deny for anonymous user. This is allow for authenticated user. You grant read, write, grant read, grant write, grant execute. For the administrator, you grant everything. You grant you grant the access, grant everything, right? So this is basically after you basically run this code. This is a very simple program. So as far as you include this SDDL library, then you can write a simple program to create a folder. And then the folder will be created, and then you can find all the permissions assigned by program. Okay, so that's a simple example. So here are some explanations about the parameters used in the functions. Right, so you can assign a discretionary. Basically, you can create a discretionary ACL or a system ACL based on the parameter here, whether it's D or S. And then the P is to determine whether you want to inherit the ACL from parent folder or not, right? So because you create a folder in a parent folder, so if you want to inherit the parent folder, you put a P here. If you don't want, then you don't need to do that. Okay, then here is basically how you assign, for example, for the building guest. So you assign deny access, right? So some other items you can find the explanation here. Right, so for the if you put a D, that means deny access. If you put A, it means allow access. Right. So here is basically the to grant, read, write, execute. You can put all these parameters here. Right. So for all the different types of users, actually in Windows we don't really use most of those user types. But actually, there are a lot of user types you can use. For example, AU is authenticated user, BA is building administrator, and the BG is building guest. So you actually have a lot of IDs for different types of users, right? So that's the one way to do this ACL using SDDL, and of course there are different other ways. So another way is to use this ATL, right? So active template library. So probably if you use the C++, many of you will use this ATL. So we can also use ATL to do the same job here. So for example, we can use ATL to create a directory and assign the permission like this. We assign full control to administrator, and we assign deny access to the guest. So this is basically the program. If you want to use the ATL, so here basically you need to include the ATL security for each. So basically, for the building guest, you just add deny access, right? So for system administrator, you add allow access, right? So then you can create a folder and then again assign the security attribute to this folder. So this is quite straightforward. So after you do that, you will see a folder, and then you can see the permission for this folder is consistent with what you put in the program. Right. So in general, if you look at the access, then the deny access will always appear first, followed by the allow access. Right. So this here is another example how to add a new list. Basically, now in the previous example, we create a folder and add the ACL. So in this example, we change the ACL of existing folder or file, right? So you can also do this kind of job using the you can also do it using a program. So here is another example using SDDL. So you can use you can change the ACL. So basically here, first you need to get the ACL, the original ACL of this file, and then after that, basically you can set a new ACL, a new ACE. So access control entry, because ACL is the list, right? So ACE is just the one entry in the list. Now you add a new entry into the list. So ACE is the access control entry. So basically, now you can basically, for example, give the grant the permission here, right? So basically you use you give this read and write, right, to permission, okay, and then you can assign this ACE to the original ACL, and then you get the new ACL. Then after that, you can set the new ACL for this file. So after that, basically the ACL of the file will be updated, right? So before you do you run program, the file will have this kind of permission. After you run program, now a new entry is added. Now we have a new entry added in the ACL of this file. Okay, so that's a very simple example. By the way, so because all the content here are just some illustration, so
it won't be tested.
right, so they will not be examined in the final exam.